Hi, friend. We have talked pretty vulnerably about where we are all throughout the years because, quite frankly, being public has been one of my greatest protections. It's been how I have kept myself safe from so many different things, is just exposing it out loud, not just healing out loud, but going on the journey out loud. And because of that, I've documented a lot of my life. And then Reed and I have this really interesting dynamic where he has like really insisted on being in the middle of everything. So anytime I try to create in our 22 years of knowing each other, anytime I create something, it very quickly gets destroyed. And I have an entire filing cabinet of broken dreams, of things that I have built and created that have never really been able to go past the first few sales because something happens that causes everything to be destroyed. And I always make things right with my clients. Like I just work more with my clients, and from that perspective, it has worked really well. It's just been incredibly difficult on me and creating a business and doing anything that's sustainable. I've had so many brands that I've built and stopped and built and stopped and built and stopped. And I blamed myself for a lot of it because I thought, oh, I'm a Gemini, I'm flaky, there's something wrong with me. And it wasn't until human design that I was able to see where my alignment was off very specifically, and learned that a lot of the things weren't me. But even in my 5-year human design journey, it was like I was in a relationship that was very unhealthy, and I could see the patterns not just between him and I, but also with our kids. And so our journey of breaking generational cycles, like doing better for our kids, was really intertwined with our relationship, and it not even being about a like romantic relationship. It's like, wow, we had kids together, so we have to figure this out so that we don't continue the patterns.
And in the beginning, when I met you, it was I was living in a family that was very contentious. There was always this competition, but the competition was against each other always. My dad was always right. My mother was always perfect. And so when I met Jess, it was this. She was a different kind of person. You were showing me that you can win at life. You can have what you want, but it takes changing from the inside out.
Right, because the real competition is with yourself. And I learned that very young, before I knew you. Yeah, I knew that my real competition was with me and creating a better me, because I could see that I was different from other people.
Absolutely. I saw competition as always out there. It I knew that it took me looking at myself in order to compete, but at a young age, I was competing in things like racquetball, and I just got to the point where I could beat everybody in the gym, and then I was like, this is boring, and so I moved to the next thing, and I learned how to build houses, and then I built a house at 17 years old. So I had plenty of determination, and I wanted to win at life. It was like I was determined that I would have a business by the time I was, 18 years old. The competition within our family, the competition from my dad to me, where he was like, every time he'd show up, he was getting in the way of me making progress. And when I met Jess, they were just like, oh, we love her. But then when I decided to marry her, they completely rejected her and myself. And I took that rejection as I'm a failure at life. I'm a complete failure at life. And this signature of peace that I had as a manifester suddenly became flipped on its head, and I started to become a loser at life instead of a winner. I started to make both of us losers. Excuse me. I started to make both of us losers. And I
started.
couldn't see that rejection was actually an opportunity to start over and actually win together, actually be a team.
And that started literally 22 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that
With our first
competition,
business.
right? Because I at the time had a housekeeping business and was making $25 to $35 an hour, which was really good in 2000. It's good now, but it was good back in 2004. And we were growing and had the opportunity to continue growing, but that wasn't good enough. And there was always this shift. And I just can't even express to you how much I have blamed myself for the failures that I have experienced, but I could not see what was missing, what was really going on. And it wasn't until 5 years ago when I left you, like, for the first big time, and I left, and the kids, that was when I started building a very different relationship with the kids, because they were seeing things that I wasn't seeing, and we had raised them that way. I'd worked so hard to not condition them the way that I had been conditioned, or the conditioning that I knew of the world. And that was actually a great advantage, because later, 5 years ago, they were like, "Hey Mom, this isn't right." And I had been through this time where I was rejecting labels and rejecting like identity. I was stripping away the ugly things that I had the world had applied to myself, that I had owned. And in that stripping away of labels, and just knowing I wanted to listen to my kids differently, our relationship started to rebuild. But I could see things with him, and this is where my human design comes in. I didn't realize the north nodes, those little arrows that point at your head or away from your head on your chart, those are really important, and they're very specific to your time of birth. So if you don't have your time of birth, like, I can show you in functional human design how to figure it out. You can join the free community and that's on School and learn about the nodes more. But there's one specific node that is your personality side, and it's the lower one. And so it's on the right side of the chart, the lower node. And for me, one of my gifts is being able to see what's missing. But when you're in it, you can't see what's missing. And so as I stepped back 5 years ago and really started to identify things, I kept feeling this really intense competition. Like, I felt like such a failure and did not understand why. This one guy asked me, he's like, "If you're so good at things, like, if you're so good at all of this stuff, why don't you have success?" And it just ate me up, because I did not have an answer as to why I hadn't succeeded at anything. Like, why was everything so difficult? And so if you're in a situation where things feel really difficult, that is not how it's supposed to be.
It's not you. It's not necessarily you. It's something to really look deep at.
It's something, like, for me, it was our relationship. And I have gone to war with him over the last 5 years trying to figure it out. I've read a mountain of books trying to just go specifically into it. And it wasn't until early this year, when I started saying, okay, I'm going to label everything. I'm going to label all of it, because I need to know specifically what the fuck I'm dealing with, because it is so ugly. It is so ugly. Why is this happening no matter what? And I ended up, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I ended up publishing a podcast with 4.5 years of our arguments. And it's still available. It's actually really helpful if you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on in your life. It's called Conversations with a Narcissist. And it's literally just audio recordings of our arguments or conversations. Whenever I felt unsafe, I would just visibly recording, and I would record our conversations. But this year, as I published that and really listened to them, I was able to see the things that were missing, because sometimes the violence is in the silence. It's in what isn't there. It's in the pain and the struggle of trying so hard and not making progress, not being able to get where you need to go.
Yeah. I'd say for...
Go ahead, I'm fine.
For anyone in your type of situation who's wondering why the arguments are pointless and they're not getting anywhere, and you're still trying to strive toward your very goal, and that person says they are, but they're still in conflict with you, it's because it's not about you. You're not the problem. You're not the one who's failing. You're not the one who is causing the problems. You are the solution for you, and you are the solution for your family. And it's excruciating to have someone be in competition with you when they say that they love you. When they stay, but they don't step up. When they stay, but they don't commit to themselves, their healing, and their commitment to you and your family. Yeah. It's not your fault. And they aren't your problem. They are their own problem.
And that's what I've had to do over and over, is just push you out and out and out, and watch you fail over and over, and not care what happened, because I just needed to find me. I needed to find who I am. I needed to discover my worth, because I remember 16 years ago, I was so strong. I was so capable. I had so much going for me. And piece by piece, you destroyed every single part of me. Yeah. Piece by piece, you dismantled who I was, and I have been putting it together, been putting myself back together for 5 years, despite you. Despite the chaos. I'm so tired of fighting. I just want to live. I want to live free. I don't want you to cause chaos for our family. I don't want you to cause chaos for our kids. And so much of this has been wrapped in financial abuse. So if you want to know why I stayed, it's because he's made it impossible for me to leave. He's made it impossible for me to make an income. That's why. I can't. I wanted to take the kids to a DV shelter, like we could all get away. I do not recommend doing what I did. Like, do not recommend confronting your abuser. When I tried to go to a shelter, I would have to give up 2 of my kids, because I have, at the time, 5 years ago, I had 4 teenagers and preteens. And I could not, they would not let me take my boys with me. And I could not give my boys up. And I don't have any family left living. And every relationship had been destroyed. And so fighting you, battling you, has been the only way. This has been the way.
I've apologized many times for holding you back over the past couple years. But I never...
A sign of change is change.
Right.
And the change hasn't happened.
I did not look at the root. I did not look at the root of why would I want to be in competition with the person I claim to love? Why would I be given the perfect opportunity to have a family, to have intimacy, and to have success, and then destroy the person that I love? Why would I do that? And when I look at it very closely, I see that I decided that I was rejected. And then in that rejection, I could not be successful. And in not being successful, it meant that my family could not be successful. You could not be successful. And it's ugly, it's deep. My way of controlling in order to stay small and in order to keep you small has been a catastrophe that has lasted most of our relationship. In the beginning, it was easier because we had constructs of religion, and it was easier to discipline myself. But I wasn't disciplining myself. I was being disciplined by others. I was subjecting myself to church leaders. I was actually learning how to be more of a controlling person, not realizing it. So when I became more competitive with you, when you stepped into your power and you were speaking and you were becoming bigger and bigger and more free, I stepped up the competition, and all of the programming that I learned from this patriarchy, from my mentor, from all of the people around me, they were teaching deep comparison. They were teaching a comparison that I couldn't even recognize as being toxic. So when I decided that I'm just not the kind of winner that I thought I am, that competition became against you, to destroy our chances of opportunity, because I'm not meant to be a winner. No one's meant to be a winner. It reminds me of The Incredibles, where the villain in the first Incredibles movie, he finally harnesses the technology to capture Mr. Incredible, and he goes on this whole spiel and all this silly stuff, and then he goes right at the end, if no one is a super, if everyone's super, then no one's super. So his bitterness towards being rejected by Mr. Incredible turns into this entire world based on destroying people who are super, and would even go to the length of making everyone else super, so to speak, with technology, in order to just prove his fucking point that he was rejected. And in reality, he started out wanting to be a winner. But he couldn't see where he was a winner because he was only looking at others. He was looking at these superheroes. He couldn't see his ability. And that's exactly what I've done.
It's a profound metaphor.
I decided that I couldn't be successful. I couldn't be a winner. Because that's really if I look at my chart, it's there are some of the greatest points in my chart is looking at winners and losers in life. And I began to see that as the worst thing to do, to look at winners and losers. And that competition was dead. Competition was useless. And I became this soft, fluffy, hippie, but angry inside and bitter toward you for just winning, for just going out there and fucking being yourself and winning as yourself. And I can finally see now that I became a very good winner. I didn't stop winning. I just won at losing. I won at losing my connection to you. I won at losing power and teamwork. I won at losing direction in life. I won at losing any power at all to just live a life that's worth living. And I took away your capacity and ability to win at life and have the bliss that you've always wanted. So for anybody, excuse me,
Yeah.
for anybody, any man and any woman, it's mostly men that do this, but there's women that do this too. If you're thinking, oh, I can't figure this out, and you know that you have power and potential to change the lives of the people around you, it's because the battle that you're trying to win is the battle of not being seen, not being heard, being utterly rejected. And you have to face that head on. You have to see it. Otherwise, you will continue to lose, and you will make everyone around you lose. You will cause pain and heartache, and that will never stop until you face your own rejection of yourself and stop blaming the people who rejected you. We don't get rejected. We choose rejection. And I choose to be a winner. I choose to be a winner for me, and I choose to be a winner for you. I choose to be a winner for our family, and I choose to be a winner for our community. I choose to win because it is the correct thing to do. I choose to win because that's who I am.
And this is why I'm going on this makeover road trip, because I need space. The kids, Reed, everyone are at a good space where they can all handle each other and resolve conflict well. And they don't need me here anymore. And it's my time to get to go and discover me and bring you all on the journey. That's why functional human design is what has gotten us to this point. Worthy, I know how to do the work. I need the space and freedom to be able to do the work. And the financial situation is really not good right now. And so I have been working on pure faith. That's why I'm offering this 50% discount for paid in full for a year of Worthy or vulnerable leadership. But Worthy is, it's going to knock your socks off, and it's only $1,200 for the whole year. And today's the last day of this thing that I'm doing in order to be able to have the funds to go. And I'm going to go whether I have the funds or not. I am going no matter what, because I need this. I need this.
Yes.
And it's so important for me to come alive after all of this. I've been just crawling out of my skin, wanting to feel and experience life again. And so it would be really fun to be in Worthy, because you'll get this internal journey, that process.
I have to say, vulnerable leadership is your culmination of fighting me, and not just fighting me, but perfecting your craft over year after year after year, from the time you were 18 years old, turning around businesses.
Yeah. Business is my jam.
Business is your jam, and your heart of vulnerability and leadership is there's nothing like it.
I guess it does take a lot of balls to put this on the internet.
To be able to survive me in being a fiercely competitive person against you, and being in this haze, this fog, and being able to identify it. There is nobody who is more qualified than you to turn somebody's business and life around at this point.
Right.
because you have clarity and you have understanding of who
Like,
you are.
dude, I literally, to get the Vita bot that we've all been talking about, and we've got to go because we've got
Yeah.
to Zoom here in a couple minutes in functional human design. But I literally used the last of my money in order to be able to keep and maintain that bot because it's been helping me have such clarity. And so sometimes you just get yourself in a situation where there is no plan B. And you just have to go and do the thing. And that is actually the spaces where you find your power. That is where your strength comes in when there is no plan B and there is no way out. But through yourself and through your strength, through your courage, you will find a way because you know that there is a God, source, universe, creator, that thing inside of you that loves you and wants you to win. Wants you to have your desires. That's why you have them.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So keep going, my friends. I love you tons. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.